Hey, Bobby.
Blog
We're
Talk
back
Radio.
up, folks. Oh, you just cut that crap. I'm headed to...
Please take all the necessary precautions to protect your Constitution.
All right. We're back up live, folks. We're sorry about the delay. We had a little technical issue. Welcome back to Rage Against the Regime podcast with Bobby Ritter and Becky Williams. Hey, brother. That was magic. Absolutely.
Oh, my God. I just, I can't tell you how bad I was biting my tongue, and I had that mute button pressed down because I'm like, I'm going to say something right now that's probably going to be really, really bad, and we're probably not going to be in show today, so I'm just going to shut up. So,
wow,
anyway,
man.
like we were talking about, we are so sorry. Rage wouldn't be Rage without us having some kind of technical issues. We haven't really had none like we had today in a very, very long time. But, let's get back to what we were talking about. They're trying to create a civil war, between the races right now. It's they're trying to split the black and the white. The kid that went in and supposedly shot up, and killed 9 people, he's waving around a Confederate flag in all of the pictures, okay? They were pushing that the guy that shot up the Dallas Police Department, he was a skinhead or an Aryan or whatever, white supremacist, same difference, all the above. And they got it instilled in people's minds that this Confederate flag is all about race. And they couldn't be any further from the truth. I've seen as many black people standing up for that Confederate flag as I've seen white people on different pages. So, they're just trying to show how much ignorance is bliss, because it's very bliss in this situation. And then, for those of you that don't realize it, you are not going to find too many homosexual males and gay people that are patriots, okay? Now, most of them are going to go in the direction of Obama, okay, because he is the person that helped them, get the equality. He's the person that, helped with the insurance, whatever, okay? Most of the people that I know that are gay, and I know a lot of gay people, they think Obama's great, because he simplifies with them, okay? Now, believe me, I'm not trying to speak for every, person, every gay person that I know. I'm just saying as a generalization, most of them like him, okay? So, when they're calling for the Confederate flag to be taken down and calling for this and calling for that, well, what better timing, okay? You got the equality thing that just got passed, okay? They got the black and white issue going on right now where they're trying to split the whole country right down the middle. And, and then yesterday here in Chicago was Pride Fest over the weekend, and they had a group come out there. I don't remember the name of the group. It was a black-orientated group that was out there heckling, all the people at Pride Parade and stuff like that, and trying to raise the promotion and blah, 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 which I think is another sponsored event. I think it was something else that was put together by the likes of, who knows, probably, maybe Farrakhan, whatever, name any one of the bozos, okay, because here in Chicago, this is the hometown for all of them. Jesse Jackson, Farrakhan, whatever. Al Sharpton. It goes on and on and on and on. If you people are feeding into any of this, well, we've already lost then, okay, because you're doing exactly what they want you to do. They want you to split yourself from the rest of the country. They don't want you to support any of this that's going on, and they want you to help be the people that are taking down the Confederate flag. What the hell does the Confederate flag have to do with race? Not a damn thing. What does the Confederate flag have to do with anything that's going on anywhere? Not a damn thing. All they're trying to do is stir the pot and get people mad, okay? Because if you don't see what's going on, then taking down the Confederate flag, next they're coming for the guns, ladies and gentlemen. It's all written down. You just don't see it written on the piece of paper, okay?
Yeah.
Am I glad for that they did the equality thing? Yes, absolutely. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. A lot of you people, I don't have a lot of people that listen to the show on my personal page, and that's my choice to keep my family and everything else separate from what I do on the radio. Okay? That's just my choice. I would rather keep it that way because people don't need to know my personal business. Okay? But I put on my page the other day that I'm sick of dumbasses not knowing information that they're talking about, and they're running around sharing information that they either A, found on Facebook and copied it, and hey, guys, whatever, and sharing it. They don't do no investigating. They don't look to see, hey, is any of this information true? No, blah, blah, blah. Okay? That being one. The second thing that I said is, what do gay people's relationships and everything else have to do with anybody? It doesn't have a damn thing to do with none of you. It shouldn't bother you. Okay? Gay people have been around for the longest time. They've never tried to hide themselves. You know what? I don't blame them for trying to push for equality, okay? Just like Becky said, look, there's people that have been together for 40 and 50 years. One of them passes away. The second one can't even get any of the belongings that they made purchases together. TVs, furniture, clothes, insurance, whatever. Because the family comes in, never agreed with the relationship, with them being homosexual in the first place, okay? Never liked it, was against it from day one, and because the other person has the right, the family comes in and says, you know what, that was my brother's stuff, and we're taking it because it was our brother's and not yours. Hello?
Yeah.
It was a purchase that they made together. I mean, it's this person's stuff as much as it was the other one. Why does it matter to any of you? I've seen so many patriots, okay, and I'm calling you guys out right now. I've seen so many of you people go on your Facebook pages and say, anybody that stands up for gay marriage and blah, 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 remove me. Yeah, no quicker than you could say it did I do it. Okay? Because if you don't understand what it's really about, and gay people really bother you that damn much, you're closed-minded in the first place. A lot of these people, they're going to, gay people, they're going to come over here and try to teach my kids about that gay rights, this blah, 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 and I don't want my kids learning that. Are you kidding me? Do you actually think that a homosexual male or a lesbian is going to come up and tell your kids, hey, this is what it's like to be gay. You want to be gay? Here, how about this? How about that? Whatever. Give me a break. Do me a favor. Take over the show, and I'll be right back. I got another call. Go ahead.
You bet. What's most perplexing to me...
She actually hung up. I'm sorry. She actually hung up. I'm going to call her back, but go ahead. I'll be right back.
What's most perplexing to me, and this is for the listening audience, is this. I'm seeing so-called I'm seeing so-called Christians attack the gays. And they're attacking them like this. One, they're trying to thump them over the head with a bunch of scripture as if gay people can't be Christians. Number two, they're calling them pedophiles. Pervert, pedophile, you name it, I've seen it all. I'll kill that so-and-so. I'll put a bullet in their skull if they even try to come near my kid, blah, blah. Okay, listen, first of all, they're not perverts. They have a different lifestyle than the average human being. what society would deem normal. Number 2, 11-to-1 is the incarceration rate for the pedophile, and 11-to-1 goes like this: 11 heterosexuals, straight, white, male for the most part is the dominant in that one, to 1 homosexual pedophile. So get that out of your head right now. And shame on you for saying you want to kill somebody because of their lifestyle in their home, okay? You're not a Christian. You may be a Christian. Let me rephrase that. You're a Christian, but you're in your carnal mind, and you need to stop that. You need to stop it. The sanctity of marriage is not threatened. Their ruling absolutely does not threaten as you would say, union between a man and a woman, a biblical union, however you want to put it, a normal marriage, whatever you want to, whatever semantics you're using. It is causing a huge rift even among our patriots. Many patriots out there are gay. Many don't like Obama. Many are Christian. Many families have gay people in their family that are patriots. It's causing divide and division, and it was meant to do so. It was wrong for the Supreme Court ruling to dictate what goes on in each state. It totally goes against the sovereignty of a state and their own rulings and making the laws to accommodate their states according to people's will or wishes. It was wrong. It was wrong, wrong, wrong. I personally am against anybody, gay or straight, having to file a license in a state to be recognized as a union, period. That is the government interfering in your business. And anybody that is foolish enough to believe that that's not exactly why they have you file that marriage certificate with your local government or with your state are fooling themselves. And so that they can intervene in your taxes, intervene in your property and division of property, and so that they can control your straw man. That's exactly what it is. So you guys are on the wrong horse. You're causing more rift between the Christian community and the non-Christian community out there. The atheists want to hop on board. Everybody wants to hate this one and hate that one. And I saw some very, very disturbing posts by our sister Lena, where she openly called out this gay guy who was attacking a bus driver. Fair enough, he was wrong. It was a gay queen, I think it was, or transgender is what it looked like, and openly cap letters calling him a faggot. In all respect, let's go here, folks, and all the black people on that post that follow our sister Lena, and I love you, Lena, but here's fact. It's the same thing as calling a black person a nigger when you call a gay person a faggot, okay? So when you're out there doing that, and all those black folks that were on that page running their lips, calling them faggot this and faggot that, it's the same thing. But you people are being distracted. Let's look at this in a larger perspective. What the semantics that were used on this ruling, the 14th Amendment, the natural right of a human being, that kept bringing up the basis of religion, okay, being questioned. We have something much more disturbing that's going on here that everybody's missing. The Supreme Court is setting the pace for Sharia implementation and argument with the precedented case being set. Supreme Court is setting us up for Sharia law to come into play and be argued in the Supreme Court, again, which we cover all 50 states if they wanted to, and this is how they'll present it, for them to legally marry their children, to have sex with children in a sanction of marriage according to Sharia law, and that's what they do. They're sick, barbaric-minded perverts. So here's what we really need to be paying attention to, folks. Every court case that sets a precedence in court leaves a pathway for someone else to argue case and most likely come out a victor in that argument in a court of law. This is much bigger, Bobby, than most people are paying attention to. That's what we really need to be worried about. We need to be worried about, and we know they've been trying to push Sharia law. They've been trying to push Sharia courts. We know that the Muslims have a political party now. We know that one of theirs sets his POTUS in the White House, 2006. I watched a video from 2006 out of London where an imam said that in the next election they would have one of their own seated as president of the United States. Now, if that doesn't resonate in your mind, that absolutely gives validation to what I preach on this radio show about they are hand for hand. They already know who the next president is. The people's vote, it means absolutely nothing. It's theater. It's a huge production, because if the people in this country really knew that their vote did not count, putting in a president or a vice president or any government body to be seated to represent the people and to follow the oath that they're given when they take that office, people would rise up with pitchforks, shovels, and burn the place down. They would go in guns a-blazing. They would be infuriated to understand that this government is run by the banking cabal, by foreign interests, and it is a foreign body. It is not, in fact, a federal government at all. It's a foreign body. In 1871, Congress was dissolved. Lincoln was a liar and a dictator. Abolishment of slavery wasn't even brought into play until the end of the war, and that was so he could continue to get approval and funding out of England for the battle. It was about tariff and taxation. It was about oppression of the South by the North, and the same lie has continued for 250-plus years in this country, and we are so divided. So there's so much going on. There's a division of color, like you stated, attack on the Confederate flag, attack on monuments. And now I hear, Bobby, that Farrakhan and Sharpton will be marching on Washington in October to remove the American flag. Yeah, they want to remove the American flag. They want to remove the American flag. You know what, Sharpton and Farrakhan, if you don't like it here, get the hell out of here. We don't care. Get out of here. That's our flag. That's the country's flag. And if you don't like the American flag, TYA, buddy, get out. Get out, or I can help you leave. I'd be happy to pack your bags. I'll buy your ticket. Go ahead, brother.
Well, it's just like South Carolina. They had some idiot, some activist, climb the pole and take down the Confederate flag. Pole takes down the Confederate flag. They put another one up. They stand guard over it, and then all of a sudden somebody else climbs up the pole. The guy gets arrested after taking it down. He got arrested after taking it down, which is a good thing. I'm glad he got arrested. But, I mean, you know, these idiots think they can do what they want to do, and I guarantee you people like Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Farrakhan, whoever, even Father Flager, who's from Chicago, who's a white priest that is with them all the time. If you ever notice, he's walking along with them, whatever, all of them. Okay, I guarantee you they said, don't worry about it. You know, we do things the way we want to do it, and this and that, and nobody tells us what to do, and nobody's got to say so over it. You climb up that pole, and you take that flag down, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, give me a break. I mean, if you people cannot see what's going on, it's happening, okay? It's happening.
I just got a message. Doug McDougal, this is kind of disturbing for me. I think he may have been offended. I don't know what's going on, but he was actually on hold when you disconnected, or you went to your other call a while ago, and I was about to open up his mic. He just sent me a message, said, goodbye, dear friend, I wish you well. Wow. Brother McDougal, if you're out there listening, man, what's that all about? I have no idea, but apparently I've offended somebody, and I don't know why. If I made a statement that was offensive, I'd like to certainly know what it was. Terry Hawkins, one of my good friends that I went to school with, is texting me. Hey, Terry, would you mind if I open up your mic and share what you said? What you said on the text? Sister, I'd like for you to say it rather than read your text. Are you there, Terry?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I'd rather you speak to the audience than read what you're telling me in a text. Terry has some feelings on the issue. Terry, go ahead.
All right, girl. Okay. I have so many gay friends, and they pose absolutely no threat, to me or my family. And to me, if you're a Christian and judge, and the Scripture says God the Father will judge you too. So my kids and grandkids were never allowed to say fag or nigger because that's just the way they were raised. And
right.
I think some of this comes from, the way that some people were raised, and that's just nothing but ignorance. So it's like let's just worry about stuff like, the elderly and starving people in our freaking country. And I've got family members with cancer. So what's more important? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly our point, Terry. Exactly our point. The bigger fish to fry. There's so much division. The very fabric of this country is being destroyed. Listen, it's nobody's business. It really isn't.
Right.
Any more than it's the gay community's business what relationship everybody else is holding. It's really not. And then you have a Supreme Court judge. Listen, everybody that knows me knows I am not on board with the gay marriage thing. I understand the reason for the battle. I'm completely in agreement with that, 100%. But anybody that thinks that they should have to file with the state in order to have their marriage recognized as a union, that union is between those two people and God. And we will all stand before him on Judgment Day and be held accountable for our own shortfall, our own sin, our own battles that we have fought in this lifetime, period.
Right.
And I can pull out scripture after scripture and battle an argument. I can pull out all 7 abominations, not the one that Christians want to continue, or I can't say Christians, some Christians want to continue to beat others over the head with. I can pull out, get the plank out of your own eye before you try to get the dust out of your brother's. I can pull out, let he without sin cast the first stone. I can pull out as a man thinks, so is a man in his heart. If you have thought the sin, then you might as well have committed the sin because it's in your heart. You've already sinned in fact. That's all biblical, every bit of it. He didn't come to save a few, and he's no respecter of persons. I can bring it back to that. I can go by this. Don't judge under the law and claim grace for yourself. The blood is for everyone. It's not for some people. I can go in and name 1,000 scriptures that I can refute an argument with or engage in a debate with. Listen, I spent a lot of time in my Bible. I slept maybe 2 or 3 hours a day when I was on my deathbed for 18 months. I was a baby in Christ, and I sought his face. I sought his voice. I wanted his truth. I prayed about it on a daily basis. And the days that I weren't was sitting at the doctor's office or in being tested for something, I spent many hours with my God, and I've seen his face and I've heard his voice. And I saw his grace and his mercy, and it came to pass in my own flesh. So nobody can tell me that God is not God. Nobody can tell me he is not real. And he is a loving God, but he is a jealous God. Now, I'm not saying what anybody, we're not within. No one is blameless. And God knew that, and that's why he sent his son so that blood would be shed and our sins would be forgiven, and they'd be cast from far from the east to the west. It would be a level of forgetfulness in God's eye that we cannot even understand. And those things come from Christ. So to say that he hates the sinner is unfathomable. He hates the sin, and he hates all sin. One sin is just as bad as the other one. Absolutely, and I can pull that scripture out. Murder is no less of a sin than lust. The rebuke of the Father or the Holy Spirit is the only unforgivable sin. I'm not saying that everybody is not right in their own personal opinions, their own convictions, because it's certainly not my place to do that. But what I will say is this is a distraction, and this is causing division, and the Christians are already being persecuted. And as a Christian, I don't need any more persecution. I need to see this. Our hearts should be wretched at the shape that this country is in. Gays are not any more pedophile than straight people. In fact, they're less likely to become a predator.
I think
I
think that's ridiculous.
The statistics went like this: 60% of the people who molest children are acquaintances of the family. I think it was 29% will be a family member and 11% will actually be a stranger. Listen, you protect your children. By all means, if somebody comes up, gay, straight, or otherwise, and tries to provoke your children into a sinful action or molest them or take away virtue from them, by all means, defend your children. I am a survivor of that pedophilia. I am that survivor. And it destroys your life. It leaves holes in your soul and causes problems in your ability to function in a partnership sexually and mentally and emotionally beyond belief. And I wasn't a victim once. I was a victim twice. At the age of 5 by a 14-year-old and an 18-year-old cousin who were my babysitters, constantly fondling me on the bathroom floor after my brothers went to sleep. And then at 13, my own father's brother raped me in a situation when my mom and dad were split, and my dad took the gun and was going to go kill my mother and her lover, and I called his brother for help, terrified that that was actually going to take place. He picks me up, takes me to his apartment, he's drunk, and he rapes me. Imagine that.
So is this what was it a Caucasian person and a straight person that did this to you? See, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you out, but see, it wasn't a gay person.
Nope, it wasn't.
So there you
go. It wasn't. And so, but what I'm reading online is very disturbing, and this is all distraction, people. While we weren't looking and we were pissed off about the Confederate flag being attacked and the black and white issue that obviously has been set up on many occasions. McKinney was a setup, Baltimore right after that, Ohio, they had another one. Then this Charleston shooting. Listen, the guy that went into the church in Charleston is not a stable individual. He's an idiot. He had black friends. That's what's so hysterical. His black friends said, man, he never talked about racist anything around me, but the media and the government are going to paint the picture because they have to further the agenda of division. We've got blacks in the street calling for the deaths of whites, the likes of Farrakhan and Sharpton and the Black Panthers. And I've got a multicultural family. I'm going to tell you right now, it puts me in a very compromised position because I don't want my white babies harmed by black folk, and I don't want my black babies harmed by white folk, and I don't want anybody harming my babies, period. But some crazy ass out here is going to look at my black children, some white person set up and had enough, is going to look at them like they're the enemy, and they're not. My kids are not raised that way. Like your kids aren't, mine aren't. And then the same goes for my white children being attacked by the idiots that are out there on the street that are on this poor me downtrodden Rufus wagon that's been fed to them for 250 years, which is nothing more than a lie, and they're going to attack my white baby. So I'm in a position, I am one of the unfortunate people in this country that has a multicultural family, and we're being attacked on both sides, and I'm just not good with it. I am not good with it. My cousin, I'll even go further than that. My cousin, I'm 1/4 American Indian, is David Hodo from the Village People, the guy with the hard hat. Come at him sideways and I'll bitch slap the hell out of you. You know what I mean? Seriously. He's a good man. He's worked hard all his life. He's intelligent. He's a degreed individual. He's a famous individual, and he's gay as hell. And he hadn't done anything to anybody. And I'll go one further than that. He's a Christian. He knows the Lord. So for all you people out there that want to drag gays through the mud, and all you people who want to attack Christianity, all you people who want to profess that you're such good people, and then you get on that bandwagon, stop the persecution and the judgment, let's pull together as an organized group of patriots and stop this bullshit and madness. Listen, Greece filed bankruptcy today. We have been telling you for over a year and a half that we are going to see the collapse in America, and it will soon follow. People cannot get their money out of the bank. Bobby just covered that. They can't get their money out of the bank. There are elderly people in Greece that are being turned away at the front door that live on pension or retirement funds. Their monies are minuscule at best to begin with. And soon you will see the burning of Rome again. You will see the people in Greece rise up and raise hell because they have no way to feed their families. They can't get any money, and without money they cannot survive. You're going to see the utilities go down. You're going to see the gas pumps being shut off. Nobody can travel to get out of that region. Listen, the hell that's about to break loose in Europe is going to be horrific, and we will follow right behind them. We are already in trouble. And this gay marriage thing is a distraction.
Yep, but nothing to see here. Don't pay no attention to the man behind the fence, maybe behind the big curtain. He's not doing nothing. Don't pay no attention to him.
Right.
Pretty sad.
Right.
Pretty sad.
That more power was given over to Obama to give him a dictatorial leverage in our White House as government. And to be honest, all these things that are going on, the civil unrest, listen, Christians are going to start being even more so persecuted and attacked over this gay issue. And they're attacking back. They're letting their carnal man lead them and not their spirit man. And we're in trouble. We're in deep trouble. And now the black people, not as a whole, understand people when I'm mentioning groups, it's not everybody, but there are bad apples in every group. So now as a whole, we've got this whole bullshit slavery issue. I have used the last week and a half to educate individuals on there being more white slaves than blacks ever, more black slave owners than white slave owners ever. The first court case precedent in the court was an indentured servant. For you who don't know what that means, it means that he was on a contract to serve the purpose of labor on a plantation or a farm. A black man took another black man to court. The indentured servant won the court case. It pissed the black landowner off, so he went to a higher court to release him from his contract. At the end of the 7 years, the landowner didn't want to release him. So it goes to higher court, and that judge ruled in favor of the landowner, given an infinite contract, if you will, or slavery, to the landowner, black guy, of this slave, indentured servant, who no longer was a contract laborer, but he became a slave to that landowner. The misconception, the lies are ridiculous that have been taught to our children generation after generation, and they're too lazy to believe anything else. It's too convenient to have the hatred and entitlement. Go ahead, brother.
I want to share some information. Sorry for interrupting you. I've been getting intel for the last 3 days that we're expecting something big to happen on 4th of July. Okay?
Yeah,
all of us are no dummies. We're expecting this. This is coming from Anthony Bosworth's Patriot page. Alert. All commanders and prepper group leadership. Subject, official LFA 3% response to current alert by Rick Light. There is a communication going out from Militia Commander Rick Light claiming that he was requested by the FBI to activate the militias and prepper groups in preparation for an attack by ISIS. This alert should be disregarded. Rick Light is a known federal informant with a long history of subversive activities in Arizona. Wherever he is involved in a group internal strife and leader member arrest occur. All commanders are advised to disregard the alert by Rick Light. In addition, leadership personnel should forward this alert far and wide to other units who may be affected, as well as brief their own people. Disregard the Rick Light alert.
Oh, yeah. I distanced myself. You know, Rick was hot on my trail to be his lady right after his wife died. God bless her. And I knew about Rick's government informant status and some of the other things, and I distanced myself from Rick. Listen, common sense tells the average citizen, Bobby, be on alert. Anybody that has been paying attention to what's going on, we had 3 major attacks by ISIS. One was actually on an American-owned company, but it was in France. On Friday, they cut this guy's head off, put his head on the fence, wrote in Arabic on his forehead, Allah Akbar, praise Allah, or whatever it was that they put on his head. And then we had one in Tanzania, and then we had another one, I want to say it was in Pakistan. It was huge, like 87 people. Credit for this. They continue to posture toward the Western population in America, and they've made more than one actual threat against the American public, and it will come. Situational awareness is everything, folks. You don't need to have someone like Rick Light or anybody else call the militia to arms. The militia knows what they're supposed to do. If they're a true militia group, they need to be ready and at the helm to respond. All you first responders out there, you need to be ready to respond in the event of a natural man-made disaster. And all the American people truly need to understand what situational awareness is and pay attention to that. We know we're under a threat. We know that ISIS is an evil entity. We also know where they came from. We also know who's funding them. And he sits in the White House faking his identity as a black man. He's from the House of Saudi, and he is a friggin' Muslim. And if he's black, I'm Chinese. That's pretty funny, huh, Terry? That man is not black. We do not know where he came from, truly. We don't know, other than he did come from the House of Saudi. He did bow to the Saudi king, and he took a prince's jewels on his neck. And he stands with Islam, and he made that clear, and that was a vocal statement. That was a statement that he made during an address to the UN and to foreign government in the Middle East. So, with that said, people, situational awareness. Don't let your kids run around at the mall. If they're going to attack with an explosive device, what a better way to do it and have mass casualties than at one of these big July 4th firework events. But don't run around and shut your life. Absolutely. Don't shut your life down and quit living, and don't let them win by terrorizing you with fear. One of the scriptures in the Quran is strike fear in the hearts of the infidel. Don't let them do that to you. Listen, we all live and die. We're all running from the Grim Reaper. We have a destiny with death. You start to die the very moment you take your first breath. It's all going to happen to us at some point. I'm not saying run into the fire, but I'm certainly saying don't stop living and existing. But if we don't all get on the same page, bury the hatred, educate without offense, and get flowing in the same direction, we've already lost, Bobby. We've already lost, Terry. There's nothing we can do.
Right. Hey, there's one more thing I want to cover. I made a promise to somebody that I would do it. They're having an emergency right now. There's a wildfire that's going on in, I think it's called Wenatchee, Washington. And it's a huge fire that's destroying homes. People have been evacuated. They're calling for anybody that might be able to help out with diapers or food or bottled water or whatever. I would highly recommend anybody that, if you can, reach out, and you're in the area, if you can maybe assist them, help them pull together, any goods or anything. They're looking for, anybody that might be able to help out with these things. If you can do that, that's great. Anybody that's on Patriot Railroad, that's where the request is being sent from Bill Cross. One of the main guys over there at Patriot Railroad. He's the one that actually sent it to me and asked me if we could mention it. I said I'd be more than happy to. Especially with the forest, a big fire going on like that, and something that's an emergency like that, that's, a wildfire. those things, they can go at a rapid rate, tear up homes, you just, they're so out of control, and sometimes they can't even stop them for days on end. So.
Wow. And you know what, Bobby, I'm not saying this is absolute fact, but I will say it raises question. I've never in my lifetime, especially in the last 5 or 6 years, seen so many wildfires in this country, especially with all the rain that we've had. It's suspect to me because I know that on more than one occasion, in fact, I could guarantee you at least 1,000 different occasions that we have seen Islam call for economic terrorism and destruction by wildfires. And they do it in Australia, they do it in America, and it destroys lives and property. It also destroys the economy, and it serves purpose to destroy the environment as well. So for you folks, Bobby's asked you to step in and help. If you're up in that area, please do so if you have any capability whatsoever. Unfortunately, those people are under a natural disaster that can be devastating to not only the life, but the surrounding area. Those folks are about to lose everything. So, Bobby.
Yes.
What the hell's going on with the militia, brother? Since you were on the subject, what's going on with the militia, man?
You're gonna put me on the spot, aren't you? Look. I'm just gonna call it like it is, okay? And but here, take it easy because I kind of thought that whole process through. Okay, I kind of thought it through before because I've been contemplating how I'm gonna handle this, and I thought it a little bit through, and I'm kind of gonna back away just a little bit for certain reasons for the time being. I'm gonna give things a chance to take its course before I start getting involved, I guess you could say. Look, people, some of these groups are jokes, okay? Some of them are big jokes, yes.
I had to tie Terry Hawkins in. I didn't mean to disturb you. Welcome back, Terry. Terry got booted off, Bobby. So real quick, for anybody out there that's trying to call in and you can't get in, we're having some serious technical issues once again with Rage today. Please continue to try to call in, and if you cannot get in that way, please use the link to listen to us live on your computer. Go ahead, Bobby. I do apologize.
Some of these groups, there's a lot of militia groups out here that are jokes. Okay, they share a lot of bad information. Okay, and then after sharing all this bad information, they end up scuffling with one another. And then it turns out to be this crazy nightmare, okay? I don't really want to pinpoint any certain group right at this point. I think that's going to take me like a day or two before I can actually get to that point because of personal reasons. But, there's a couple groups that put out information. I don't think they vet it very well at all. They share it. They put it out. Then a group yesterday to put out a joke, okay? While this whole thing is going on with the Confederate flag, we've got people, we got a call to arms in 3 different states. We've got a group that has somebody that goes on and starts cracking a joke. Nobody knows it's a joke. Goes on and says a joke and says, something happened at a mall, and I'm not going to get into the whole joke because to me it's not a joke at all. And he says it, and people don't know that it's a joke, and he's going on with it and carrying on, and all of a sudden people are starting to call people and saying, hey, something's going on in this state. We need a call to arms. We need people at this place. Get somebody there right away, this and that. And then all of a sudden the guy's like, well, it was a joke. I don't understand why you guys, doing this and that and calling people. It was a joke, lighten up, guys, and this and that. Get your panties out of the bunch, whatever. It's like, are you kidding me, man? You're going to make a joke about the Confederate flag? What it boiled down to is somebody wearing a Confederate flag or a Confederate flag itself walked into a mall with 2 rifles and supposedly started shooting the place up and this and that. That was supposed to be the joke. I mean, what in the hell is a joke in that? I don't see a joke whatsoever. Careful with a lot of these militia groups that you're dealing with, okay? Because, half of them don't vet their information. They don't vet the people that they bring in. They just bring in anybody because they want to start getting numbers for the groups and everything else. Those are horseshit groups, okay? If you're part of a militia and say you're part of a 3% group or a militia or whatever, and you have not been vetted yourself, and you became a member, you might want to question the group that you're part of. Because I can tell you right now, they probably let anybody in. So, that's something to keep in mind.
You make some pretty strong points there, brother. I'll tell you this right now. We've got a real problem across the board with narcissistic personalities. We've got a problem with egomaniacs and pride, and we've got a serious issue with glory whores. That's what I like to call them, glory whores. You know who that individual is. They have to be in the front of everything and in the middle of every big event. They got to make money off of it, and it causes so much dissension. So much dissension in the group. At Boss, our goal on the island, military-grade training facility, is to be able to train people to be proficient no matter what they come on to take, whether it's food, fire, water, and shelter, long and short-range shooting, hand-to-hand combat disarmament, field medic, EMT1, situational awareness, communication, no matter what it is, and this is all the things that militia groups should be trained in diligently every weekend, not once every 2 months for a couple hours, and stand around a campfire with a beer in your hand, scratch your nutsack, brag about how good you shot at a target that wasn't moving. Listen, war is not like that. When you have to actually engage in combat, if you are not a veteran and you're some militia yeehaw that wanted to wear the badge of being in a militia group, and you get in a live situation, you're not shooting at a steel target. You're not used to shooting at a piece of paper. You don't have time to check your sight. You don't have time to do all the things that you think you're so good at when you're out on your little camping excursion, every 6 weeks or to 3 months or whatever it is, whenever you guys get together. And I'm not trying to belittle the ones that are making an effort. What I'm saying is you have insufficient training going on. You've got poor leadership. You've got people giving direction who have no idea what they're doing, but they're making an effort, and that's going to get a lot of people killed, Bobby.
That's another thing I wanted to touch on, and I'm not trying to be mean by any means, but you've got people out here that are running militias, and I guess you could say the commanders, so on and so forth, that have absolutely zero military background. I don't even think that they have any type of training background or anything else, and they're out there calling themselves commanders, and they want these guys that have done 20 years in the military, special ops, Green Berets, SEALs, and everything else. They want them to follow their command, and it's like, dude, are you goofy? I mean, seriously, you want these guys who have done lifetimes of military, okay, and you want them to follow your direction? Seriously?
Those are your glory hordes and your egomaniacs right there, brother. And I'll tell you something that's even more disturbing than that. Talking to somebody who claimed to be in a militia group in a command position, self-appointed, by the way, not elected by the people in the group, that did not know what I was saying when I mentioned the words or the acronyms ROE or SOP. And I was flabbergasted. I'm like, dude, what's your ROE? What can you explain to me how you train your people in that? He goes, what's an ROE? What's rules of engagement, you dumbass? You know, don't you think you ought to be aware of it? Shouldn't you be on board with the rest of the militia groups? Because you're going to have a whole lot of friendly fire casualty if you don't get that one down. Or he didn't know what SOP was. And I was like, it's standard operating procedure, brother, how you handle a situation.
You got to be kidding me.
No, I'm serious as a hundred. Yeah. And that's what we're facing out there when we have these people, you know, Billy Bob, who wants to, well, what we need to do is just take our guns, get out there and start kicking everybody's ass. That'll teach them. Dude, you need to know how to kick somebody's ass before you start proclaiming victory. You know? Wow. True story. Nobody wants to regulate their position. Nobody wants to get with their local law enforcement and government and form a coalition. And we are sadly scattered. And that's why I was asking about your particular contacts and your militia groups, because we're really in trouble.
Yeah, we had a conversation about that earlier, and I kind of, God, how do I put this? I kind of feel bad right at the moment. You know what I mean? I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
I just know I'm not going to be a part of it. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to be part of it. So
Bobby,
that's all that needs to be known. You know what I mean? That's all that really needs to be known.
Yeah.
I'm not part of it. So
we have an opportunity. You know, opportunity knocks, and it only knocks on your door once in a lifetime in the situation that we're in.
Yep.
And depending on how long you take to answer that door and respond to the invitation is going to depend on the rewards you reap or the rewards you miss in that opportunity. Yep. And we have an opportunity to make history, to be a part of that history, be a positive part of history, to find resolution, avoid revolution. But we can't do it unless we're a show of numbers by force, or a show of numbers not by force. See, we want to avoid the bloodshed in the streets that's coming, that the government is pushing for. And the way that we do that is we organize together. We have our guerrilla teams in our own little neighborhoods that take care of things so that we don't have to call on Bubba Joe, who thinks he's a militia commander that doesn't even know what the acronyms stand for, let alone how to implement that program. And what we need to do is we need to start at a local level and remove the tyranny. And we need to go from there and step it up. I mean, in the real world, to be honest, we're not going to be able to do that in Washington. We could show up and scare the hell out of them, but they're running the tunnels underground just as quick as we could get there. As soon as they saw the footsteps, they'd be moving to get out of the way. So we're not going to capture them there. But if we had teams that went in and arrested them while they're at home out of session and took about 200 or 300 of them in and put them under arrest, don't kill them, don't beat them. You're not there to be lawless. You're there to perform a duty, which is to deliver the country from tyranny. You put those people in chains and you hold them accountable in a court of law, you would scare the hell out of the rest of these idiots that are coming at us. You really would. But we can't even do that because we're that unorganized. So we're missing our opportunity and the very balance of this nation and so many millions and millions of lives that are going to be lost in the battle that's ahead of us if we don't answer the call right now and do what's right. It's scary. It really is. It's scary. Because we can't get our shit together to get it done.
Right.
Meanwhile, back at the Williams Ranch, I painted a target on my head.
Back at the ranch.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I painted a target. You know, I'm owner of a military-grade training facility. I speak out against the government, stood up and ran on a platform of secession, creating enemies, and boy, I pissed some Christians off today, telling them, I'm not on your bandwagon. You know, unfriend me over the gay issue and the marriage thing. I mean, I paint enemies with the black folk. They don't want to hear the truth either. You know, I paint enemies with the supremacists. They don't want to hear the truth either. So, meanwhile, back at my ranch, I put in one badass security system on Friday. I'm looking at a monitor with 6 live running cameras that I can zip drive down on a flash drive information. I can set it up for 36 hours to run it on my DVR from out of town, and 2 other people get live feed from my house on a security team on a regular basis. That's pretty good, huh?
I know,
yeah,
right?
I know, right? I've made some enemies that I'm secure.
Right.
And, of course, I've got my weapons. And for you people, listen, for you people out there, especially you women that aren't taking hand-to-hand combat because you say, I can't get away to do it, or, I don't have the money. It's called free videos online. You need to start looking at some of the Krav Maga and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and some of the other arts out there that could save your life. Start practicing in your living room with your kids or your friends or your husband or your wife or whatever it is. You know what I mean? You need to know how to you need to be able to get out of a bad situation. Wouldn't be a bad idea for you to get your kids involved in that. I know, right? So Terry Hawkins went to school with me, junior high school, and she is my, God, I love her. She's one of my best buddies, lifetime buddies in the whole world. Terry Cooper,
yeah.
What are your thoughts on all this bullshit?
Girl, I have so many thoughts. It's crazy. I mean, you know, like, so the whole basis of this is like just a big fight between the races. Is that it?
Well, they're trying to make it that, but truly what it's about is just taking over the people and enslaving the people. There's a new world order coming, and there's a video out of an European Union video, where the president of the European Union in 2009, once Obama stepped into office to fake his presidency in love of America and the bastard, the EU president said in this video that, ladies and gentlemen, we're now under a new world order government. So Obama's the finisher, and we're watching him erase borders, open borders up, infiltrate America. He refuses to bring any Christians in from Syria, but he'll bring every Muslim in from every country to bring them in to kill people off here in America. And I'll tell you something else that's very disturbing, I'm heavily involved with, is the white genocide that's going on in South Africa.
Right.
And next Monday's show is going to be one hell of a show. I've reached out to Jack Sin and Claudia Bryan out of the UK. They're both South Africans. And Jack Sin is actually a politician and a media executive. Okay. And they are friends of mine, and they're going to be on the show next Monday. And the parallels to the white genocide in Africa that really went into full force in 1994, we're seeing that movement here in America, and it's called the National Action Network. And that's Al Sharpton and Farrakhan and the movement, the black movement that we're seeing. So they're calling for the deaths of whites now in the streets. And honestly, if white folk got up and did that, we'd be thrown under the jail. But
you know, that's what I was talking to Edward about just a second ago. I said, you know what? I said, you know, it's awful crazy, and it's not funny. I'm just laughing because it's just gotten so out of hand. But you know, it's kind of like, okay, so what if a black cop shot a white kid in Oak Cliff? I'm like, man, what are we supposed to do? Go lewd CVS and go finish shoes and shit, you know what I'm saying? But you know what? That's overlooked, and I'm kind of tired of that shit.
Yeah, it is overlooked. And like me, you have a mixed family. And so it makes it real hard to even have that discussion in your own household because you don't want to cause a division because you're not trying to be racist, but my God, woman, you're white. You're white. And you're being
I'm white and I'm from the South,
And you're Christian.
Yeah, I am Christian. Hey, do me a favor. Can Edward say something real quick?
Hell yeah, he can.
Here you go, girl. Here you go.
The only thing I got to say is if Obama plans to get anything done, he better hurry up because I'm counting the days when he is gone.
Thank you, brother. Thank you,
Edward. His face is kind of red. He's kind of a little pissed off today. But
well, and he should be. Because, I mean, everybody should be angry. But you know what? Their anger is directed in the wrong in the wrong places for the most part. And I'm not saying Edwards is. I'm saying society as a whole are being distracted by all the division and all the shit that's there. Listen, you want to stop the black and white division? Somebody put a bullet in the skull of Al Sharpton and Farrakhan and the likes of those people and community organizers that are doing the shit that they're doing because they're using the black population to death. You hear me? They have used them for 250 years to claim reparation, to have special privileges, and then they yell, well, white privilege. Hell, there is no white privilege. If we had a white college fund, the earth would shake.
Well, why? Let's do it. Why can't we do that?
Well, they won't let us. Many people have tried. They won't. No, I'm serious. The government will shut it down. They will not allow you to do it. It's not going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. Until Obama's gone, nothing's going to change. If we had a president that was really a president, he would have curtailed all this and taken care of it. There wouldn't be so much racial tension right now.
Yep.
So much racial tension right now. And he's the one that has caused about 75% of it.
Well, honey, he set us back in race relations, 875 years. I mean, he's really done a job on us. And Eric Holder, and now Eric Holder is not in there, but the woman who replaced him is just as bad. And they're allowing the dissension. They're orchestrating the events, the rioting, the looting. Hell, look at the mayor of Baltimore, Edwards. She told her police officers to leave the blacks alone, let them do what they needed to do, and they destroyed a friggin' city, and now they're pissed off because FEMA and the other organizations and the Red Cross and the government are not going to give them allocations to rebuild their city.
Well, that's their hard luck. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, that was with purpose that they allowed those thugs to go in there. And I watched videos where blacks picked up a metal trash can and bashed a white woman in the head that was standing there doing nothing, wasn't even talking to anybody, simply because she was white. And the cops didn't do anything. I saw them drag a white man out of the bar, drag him to the ground, kick and stomp his head and kick his ribs and beat the hell out of this man simply because he was white and they were there.
Well, I hope all these liberal people that let all this crap happen, I want to see what they're going to do when the shit really hits the fan.
Yeah,
and they can't get in their car and go somewhere without getting mugged or beat up.
Right.
We have to close the banks. We have to close the grocery stores. And they're going to be doing without crap, just like everybody else,
Oh,
and
you're right.
And, I mean, they're just going to be sitting there looking at each other wondering what happened.
You know what, brother? You know what I do? I go on and I wish more patriots would do it. I go on the NAACP and Action Network pages and all these pro-black hate whitey pages and reparation pages, and I simply do this. I go into the law library archives, or I go into a college archive, natural history, and I go and I pull the truth about slavery, and I pull the truth about the Confederate flag, and the truth about why the Civil War was fought, and the truth about Abraham Lincoln being a dictator and calling martial law, and Congress dissolving itself, which means that the government in place now is not truly a government. It's an oligarchy. It's a lie. These people that are sitting up there in Washington, they're not our government. They're
well,
not.
let me tell you, they're gonna want all this to happen. They're gonna want all this rioting, all this rebellion to happen before he gets out of office, because that is gonna give him a chance to call martial law, and he will be in control of everything.
Yes, sir, because all elections stop when that happens, people.
That's right.
Edward, you are preaching
about
the
that for
gospel,
a
brother.
long time.
Bobby, this is Edward. This is Terry's sweetheart. This is my partner, Bobby Ritter. Edward, welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm fine for right now. I'm pissed off, but I'm fine.
I hear you.
So I go in and I pull the articles and I post them up in conversations that are being had on racial posts that are in there. These take the American flag down, take the Confederate flag down, and I tell them the truth, and they don't like it. They don't like it. They rebuke it. They don't want to receive it. It's too easy to believe the lie that they have been fed for generations. Mm-hmm. There is no white.
They have to blame somebody.
Yeah. There is no white privilege. We don't have a white caucus up in Washington, but we have a black caucus. We don't have a white college fund, but they have a black college fund. There's more athletes, black athletes, that are being paid millions in pro sports than there are white athletes. There's black colleges, all black colleges, that whites cannot attend. There's no all-white college. There's the BET channel, Juneteenth, Black History Month, Kwanzaa, Martin Luther King Day, you name it. They have every privilege and special funding programs specifically for blacks that nobody else can obtain to get education and start at capital for their businesses. If we did that, we can't do it. Now, how the hell is a white man privileged? How is that so? You know, I finally pulled the race card on them. They kept, you white bitch, this and that to me on one post. I said, okay, if you want to be technical, I have a roll number. I belong to Indian Nations, and my grandmother was full-blooded Native American. This is our land, bitch. Get out. I don't want to hear about it.
Hey, Becky.
Yeah.
Hey, why couldn't we do a white college private level?
We can't. The government shuts it down. They won't let you do it.
But it wouldn't have anything to do with the government. If it's private, leave those fuckers out of there. I'm sorry.
I know, but the IRS come after you. That's what they do. They shut you down. They won't allow it. They tie you up in litigation and squash it before it ever takes off. Trust me, many people have tried to do it. The point is, all men were created equal, and it says so in the documents of the founding documents. So here's the deal. If we're all created equal,
the best thing to do is call it something else.
Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's brilliant.
Call it the retard nation. I don't care what it is.
That's exactly right. That's clever. That's very, very
clever. Call it something else.
But what are we going to do, people? You need to watch your money in the bank. Bobby, what did you tell your mom today?
It wasn't today. It was the other day. But I told her, get your damn money out, because she's got a 401k. You know, she's got a nice little chunk of change that she's trying to build upon right now in her 401k. And I told her, get that crap out of there. I mean, she's got a lot to lose. Me, I hardly have anything in the bank, so if they take it, whatever. But, I mean, she's got, over $100,000 in the bank. It's like, you need to get that crap out of there.
Well, that's exactly right, because the government will be in control of the banks when all this happens.
Well, what people have been paying attention to.
She said to me, here, this is a funny story. She said to me when I said to her, I go, Ma, look what happened in Greece, this, that, whatever. They're going to end up, doing that eventually here. Oh, it will never happen. They would never allow that to happen. Do you think the bankers and the millionaires, and look at the people on Shark Tank, do you think that they'll let something like that happen? It's like, are you kidding me?
To do is load up.
They want to be your debt. They want you to go in debt so they can take it and buy it.
Yeah,
Bobby,
they're going to be the only ones with any money.
Hey, did y'all see where the Dow dropped 350 points because of Greece's announcement today?
Well, I just got home. I hadn't really had a chance to get informed yet.
Well, 350 points is quite a lot, people. That means a whole bunch of people lost a whole bunch of money today. And if you think that it's not going to happen in America, they're setting us up for the fall. We already know about the BRICS. We already know about China and Russia. We know about them securing their own banking system and their own currency. We know about them rebuking the federal dollar or the U.S. dollar for trade on oil. It's all a big, huge game of chess for these people. We have some very powerful people in control, and it's all a big game of chess. They create war. They fund wars. Hey, Edward, did you know that when you go into the military, that our government takes a $10 million life insurance policy out on that soldier? And if they do make it back from war, they continue to hold the policy, refuse them treatment at the VA, and hope that they'll die because they collect on that money.
Well, there you go.
Oh, my God.
Wonder who created that.
Yeah, that is a true story. That is not false whatsoever. And that alone, with the corporations and their lobbyists controlling the government and Big Pharma and New World Order and the banking cabal, we've done the homework. This is not a conspiracy theory. Anybody that's listening to this, we challenge our listeners to prove us wrong. And if you can prove us wrong, come back and tell us. We'll do a show and apologize online. I'll swallow pride and just suck it up and go, okay, man, I was wrong. You were right. I invite you to prove me wrong, because everything that we preach on this show we have research teams. We do our own research. We vet it. And by that, I mean we need 2 or 3 sources to confirm something before we report it. We do everything we can to make sure that we are the Truth Network. They call me the Truth Stinger. And I sting sometimes with a delivery and a punch that is very distasteful in the mouth of the public. But it's because Bobby and I do our show this way. We have grown to be one of the biggest shows in our community across the board and listened to in many nations.
Well, Becky, let me just say this. Kudos to you and all the people that do your research and everybody that's involved, because there's not everybody that's willing to put out the effort to do anything like that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You have
and
to.
You know, we don't.
You have to.
Yeah. We tell it like it is, you know, and it may not always taste good, and we may not serve it with gravy, but we'll damn sure serve it with the side of "I told you so."
Yeah. Well,
hey, you know
when you tell people stuff they don't want to hear, they don't want to.
Becky, let me break off here, because I'm actually home and I got things I got to take care of because my other cars broke down.
Okay, brother.
But I'm going to break off from here, you know, especially since we had the problem earlier and everything else. But I'm going to break off, but I want to thank everybody, you know, that's listening. I know that we had problems earlier, and but we're here. So, you know, we got it resolved, got it back up. But, you know, it's a shame that it happened so much. But like I always say, without you, we are nothing. And, you know, we want to keep learning things. So anytime that anybody has something good to share, you know, I always try to learn something. And, you know, without you guys, we can't do it. So from here, I say, Vista.
All right, brother. I love you, man. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bobby, don't miss James's show tomorrow at 7 p.m. If you can listen in, brother. I hear he's got some good information.
Okay. Very good.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Hey, that was Bobby Ritter, my sidekick and co-host from Rage Against the Regime Family Hour, and it's time for him to lay the gauntlet down and handle family business. Bobby, we love you, and thank you for all you do, brother. Doug McDougall has joined us once again. And, Doug, if it's okay with you, I'd love to bring you in. Are you there, brother?
Yeah, I'm here, Becky. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I tell you, we're just kind of bouncing around the page. We don't script this show, as you well know. We just kind of cover topics and subjects. And thank you so much for coming back onto the show again today and joining me. Brother, any good information that you can share with us would be greatly appreciated.
I had a good draw today.
All right, fantastic.
On a big job I've been on, so but I had to put it in the bank, and that's always scary. And so, but
well, hey, the Lord has shined His light of prosperity on you, brother. That's because you're a good man.
I don't know how that happens in this world. I'm probably the person that does the least in this world and is given every opportunity. So somebody's looking out for me. I don't deserve what I get. I don't deserve what I get. I know that much.
I deserve a pizza, but I'm not. Go ahead.
I didn't catch your show. I was driving in and banking and stuff like that. So, but did y'all discuss the Russians sitting in the Gulf?
No, I wanted to ask you about that, and that's really why I reached out to you, because I knew that you had some information on that. Tell me what's up with that, because I keep seeing it being posted, and I don't know that particular site. It was something, The Darkness, something or other news site, and I'm really not familiar with that site, so I didn't want to bring it up without having validation. So tell us what you know.
Well, I did about 4 phone calls last night. I know some people that write, the white papers in our capital down there.
Right.
Pretty high up. I know some people on a couple of military bases. Matter of fact, I'm going to have to drive one of them back home next Tuesday, or back to Fort Hood. I made some phone calls, and
all right.
And it appears that it is true. That I don't have the paperwork sitting in front of me. I'm sitting on my front porch after a hard day, but it's some kind of joint operation. I'm gonna make up a word because I'm sure it's not right, but it's like Lithuania or Lifton or something like that. It's a joint operation. Starts with an L. That's honestly what I can tell you. But yeah, there's a Russian battleship sitting in the Gulf of Mexico. It also has a joining assistant, like an LST, which is honestly can be used for advancement or shore approach, but it's a aid to the battleship is what it is. Probably carries ammunition, things like that. So,
wow.
But you put that with the 80,000 troops that have been for 3 months, north of Canada. I think there's some 80 aircraft, Russian aircraft. I don't know. It's news.
Well,
so all with this administration, all news is something worth looking at. You have to take it all in and stir it around and decipher what you see in it, what you understand from it. You have to almost take every piece of information and you start to build a puzzle. Now, some of those pieces don't even fit in this puzzle. They go to another puzzle. But it's somehow or another it ends up turning out. If I would have told you 5 or 6 years ago that some of these things were going to take place, then you would have thought, well, it's a lot of just hogwash, rumor talking stuff. But all of these stories were out there, a couple of years ago. And people just said that, no, this is not going to happen. Well, folks, I'd be honest with you. I think it's going to happen. A lot's going to depend on tomorrow, okay?
Yeah.
I think if we see an equal to American people, they like to make money. So when the market's down, the bears, they start just lapping at their jaws and they're ready to jump back in because they know it's going to jump right back. That's the market that we have. This imitation market where it's floated up there by this quantum easing that is put out there. 85, 83, whatever you want to call it, 79 billion a month printed and thrown into the market. And it keeps it afloat so investors feel safe. And they know that the ones running the system are probably the most greedy and self-centered people on the planet. And above all, they love money. So there's people that almost, these big investors, these bundlers, these whatever you want to call, these Wall Street guys, they feel safe knowing that the one thing that they don't believe is going to come down until it's the time is the money. But I think tomorrow is going to tell a story. If we have a 350 or a 400, I'll say this. If it's 250 by noon, it'll hit 500 by close. I know it. I know it in my gut. It'll start a rampage of people, and we think that 800-point drop was big or 1,300-point drop was big. We will see new records broke on all ends, and most of it will be a reaction. But most of it will also be real smart money people pulling their money, knowing that it's been held up there falsely for the last 5 years anyway.
Right.
So.
Well, I know that they said. In the article that I read that Russia was going to back Texas and is standing with us on the secession.
I have not. I have researched that and researched that and researched that. I have talked to people very high up, and I have not found that anywhere. I've actually seen an article. I've actually seen an article where Putin laughs about that.
Yeah,
and
and I have
about
seen
him.
That's why
he said he has no wishes to have any involvement with the United States. Was his statement?
Yeah, I've seen the same thing as well, and that's why I didn't bring up the news article about the Russian ships in the Gulf and the ties to him backing the American people if we have a full-on assault by Washington on the state of Texas, blah blah blah. But I didn't bring it up because I couldn't verify that. I couldn't validate it.
I couldn't, and I've tried very hard. I've tried a lot to verify that. And it just isn't, I can't find it anywhere, nobody. I've even tried to track a source back to its the story back to its originator, and was unable to do it. We have to be cautious. And I heard some of your show right before I got in. And all of these, you're right, and they want us to fight. They want us to bicker. Yeah. They want us to separate. They want us to. The biggest fear they have is the American people. Okay.
Yeah.
The American people are different than any other country. Yeah, we all bleed. You take X-rays of us. We're all identical, from Canadians or Mexicans or Hondurans or whatever you want to, from Russians. We're all the same.
Right.
But we have something different. We've been raised different. We understand from a very young age the definition of liberty before we can even spell it. We watch our mom and dad smile as we're childs. We watch laughter. There's a lot of people in a lot of countries, kids don't experience that. We grow up with this comfort that is America. And, I think they fear us. And the best way to conquer that fear that they have is to put us against one another. And whether it is the equal rights issue, whether it is guns, whether it is money, whether it is race, any avenue that they can use. Now, understand in the old Saul Alinsky book that is their Bible, they will never let a situation run too long, okay? And that's by design. These situations cannot run too long because they will be found out to be false. So the Fergusons or the Bostons or the Newtown or the whatever it is, any a cop shooting or whatever. It's here. It beats the news. It's 2-3 weeks tops, and then poof, it's like it never happened. Because not because there's a brand new one to fill its spot, but by design they cannot wear on that story because the actual reporters that are reporting the story will actually have to do something. And once they do something, they will find out that some of this stuff is involved, whether it be the protest or whether it actually be the shooting. Protesters are involved in actors are involved in some of these. And this is fact. This is proven fact.
Yeah.
And so they move on with the story. Hurry up. We got to get something else. Run all the news reports. I want to find something we can work on. And that's what they do. They get to every little city, every little town, so they get some principal that messed up when they were doing a speech, or they were doing a game word, guess words or whatever, and they're like, there, we can go with that. That'll get us a day and a half or two until something else comes up. And they're in this cycle of force feeding us this dissension and this separation that doesn't really exist. We don't dislike each other, okay? I don't see it at all in America. I go to, you live locally, I go to South Dallas every day. I work. I go to North Dallas every day. I go to Richardson, Little China here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And, I don't see the dissension. Now, Muslims are off limits. I can't stand them. Don't like looking at them. Don't like talking to them. That's where I draw my limit. I've even talked to God about this and said, hey, sorry, God, but, love all your, love everything. I draw the line, God. I think they crawled straight out of some hole coming out of hell, and they formed themselves to look like us. Some of them aren't completely formed. That's why they have to cover up. And maybe they wear the rags on their head to cover up their horns. I don't know, but I don't deal with Muslims. I don't deal with them good at all. I don't like being around them. I get hatred in my soul, and I don't like hatred.
Yeah, I don't do any business with them myself, Doug. I won't write an account for them. I won't go into their businesses and spend my money. If I know it's a Muslim-owned business, and I try to keep up with the list, but it's growing so rapidly, I refuse. And I'm even worse than that. If it's a foreign-owned business, period, of persons that have come over here and started operating their business within the last 5 years, I know that they're most likely brought in here illegally, and I refuse to do business. I will not fund their money. I will not feed their children. I will not aid and abet. That's my conviction personally. That's my own personal conviction. My prosperity is being taken away from me and my children, and I'm not on board with that. So I refuse to do it. I refuse to pay taxes. I refuse to do the thing. And I have a tax lawyer. I'll beat them all day long in court. I'll drag them through court all day long to keep that. I don't keep anything in my name. They have nothing to come and get. I beat them up every chance I get because it's extortion, but I will not fund any foreign-owned business in my city, period. Won't do it. Refuse.
Well, they don't need you to fund them. They got, our federal government. that brings them in, gives them grants to start, grants that they don't have to pay back, understand. See, a grant is a nice word, you know. It sounds like, oh, that's a government loan. That's a government loan. No, it's a government handout. And we're not talking about, we got great kids that want to go to college that they get up there and they're like, oh, I got a grant. I got a grant for $1,500. Let me tell you something. I got 4 daughters and a son. And several went to college, 4 of them, actually. And you don't get nothing for $1,500 a year in a grant. Okay? You don't get squat in a college. We're talking, if you want to send your kid to college and pay for it, it's $25,000 to $40,000.
And depending on the college, it could be even more.
Yeah, $1,500 is a drop in the bucket. It's a, you know, it's literally
won't pay for their books. It won't pay for their labs. It won't pay for anything. And we've seen it across the board. And they bring them in here, and they go to school for free. And if they're
and they get the business, they get the business grant. If you wonder why are all these little, you know, convenience store, every corner store, why is there a Muslim working inside? Because he owns the store.
Yeah, buddy.
And the government gave him the money.
Yeah, and his money's liquid. They don't pay back on interest or the loan, and they are tax exempt. They are tax exempt. It's a privatized bill. I've seen the bill. Muslims are not paying.
I can tell you for a fact. My little brother is a minister. You know, he's in Manila. He's been there for 20 years, but 20 years ago he married he was going to ETBU, East Texas Baptist University, maybe 25 years ago. Heck, maybe 30. Yeah, probably 30. And he met his beautiful wife. Her name is, doesn't matter, but he married his wife, and she's a Philippine refugee back in 30 years ago, Filipino refugee. And my brother, because he married her, was given 5 years of tax exemption in the United States. They had a bill back then that he was 5 years tax-free.
Well, yeah, and, you know, that, in my opinion, that's also going to be attacked after this whole gay marriage thing. I believe that will be attacked as well. I kind of had a gentleman on one of my posts today bring that up and mention that he believes that as well, because whenever a church or refuses to marry them, or a Christian institute, whether it be an adoption agency or whatever, refuses to do business with a gay couple because it goes against the biblical principles and their own moral principles, and I think they have the right to refuse that if they choose to, because there are many other businesses or churches out there or gay clergy that would be more than happy to marry those folks and it be recognized. I believe that they're going to be attacked on their status. I believe that the churches will be refused exemption. I believe that's how they're going to stronghold them.
I think the general populace of the LGBT community, I think the populace really want this for financial reasons.
They do.
Don't get me wrong. I think there's a portion of them that are legit and they want it for all feel good, for all principles and things like that that they believe. And, you know, and I think they're honestly at it, but they're not the ones marching up and down the streets. Okay?
Exactly.
These are the hard left Mongols that are, in my definition as a Christian, sodomites, straight out of the pits of hell working for the devil, that they want this for the destruction of Christianity.
I agree. I'll not deny that.
The Catholic priest was walking down the road in New York City and made a turn and stopped to view the great gay pride parade, or the pride parade. And two men walked over and spat on him. And you know who I'm talking about. Yeah. 2 men in the parade walked over and spat on him. He wasn't part of it, didn't even know the parade was going on. He just walked around the corner, stood there, and was observing it. As they marched by, they marched up close, and they spat on him. It's the same young Catholic priest that's always on Fox News.
Right.
John something. I can't remember his name either. But they spat on him, and he said, well, those men are probably, they're really not like that. They just, they're frustrated with events from the past, and they're not like the populace. And he just let it go. But I think that the hard left that is pushing this agenda are after Christianity in the United States or in the world even.
I agree.
They
I do agree.
They joined. Believe me, you know me. I've been at many state capitals protesting about the Muslims, and I look, and who is there? And there is there filled with hard left liberals and homosexuals. Okay.
Can't we all just get along? Love, and they don't want love.
But what they don't understand is those same Muslims would just as soon cut their head off, but their taqiyya tells them to go ahead and use the infidel to, until you need him no more, and then once you need him no more, to destroy him. And
you're exactly right.
So just as the blacks in this country have been mistreated and lied to by so many and all different sides of our political party and a lot of Americans, so is the gay community being lied to and used. So are the youth of America being lied to and used, all believing in free will, free opportunity. It is all a big lie.
Well, they're being used to divide the nation, and they're being used unknowingly. I agree with you on that on every level because, this government has used the black people to prod the white people for centuries now, and in a false sense of entitlement or reparations owed individuals, when in fact there were more white slaves than black slaves, there were more black slave owners, and in fact when the Civil War commenced, there was less than 95% of the population in the South that owned slaves, but the South has been deemed the devil because an evil man who betrayed himself. Pardon?
Becky, I think they have run their course. Like I told you about the Solinsky rule, about never stay on an issue too long. I think that they have ran their course on the black slavery reparation. That's why they pulled in the cop beatings of the blacks, or the cop beatings in general. Now, even though they'll leave, I think they've ran their course, and they've got to find something drastic and major. I think they found something in the Confederate flag. I think they found something that, to me and you, is ridiculous. Okay? Yeah. The argument or the upset public about the Confederate flag, I think, and we are both Southern people. I think that they were like, whoa, we didn't expect this response. All right, let's run with this one. Okay? Yeah. And that's what they want. They test the water. And when they see the reaction of the public, they know which direction, they know the way the winds are blowing. Okay? And they see we got something that can really get some good old Southern boys pissed off. This is ideal. I think the Confederate flag was all by accident. I think it fell into the shooting on accident because it never could have been brought up if the sorry-ass, guy, whether he was planted or whatever, took a picture with a Confederate flag. I went, as soon as his name came out, the second his name came out, I went and searched him. And I went to his Facebook page before it was corrupted. And his Facebook page had him, was only about 4 months old. It had 79 friends on it. I wrote all this down because I knew his page would be whether distorted, changed, or something. I went through all his photos. I even went through every one of his friends. I counted his friends, and I wrote down a bunch of different names where I saw that there were family members. Like there was 3 or 4 people named Martin, had the last name Martin. So I was like, hey, maybe they're friends of his, because they've got, 3 or 4, brother and sister and maybe a dad or whatever. So maybe he knows them. 34 of his friends were black out of the 79.
Yeah.
Of the 79 were black people. I did not. I went through the post, which were very few, and I went through his photos. Never saw the rebel flag photo. It wasn't in there.
Right.
And I mean, you can't do it now. You can't go to the site now without it being you getting infected.
Yeah. Well, and I believe it was set up like that with purpose. You and I and several others know to what lengths the government will go through, and the cost of lives or the loss of lives is of no avail to them. These are some evil bastards, brother, that are in control and doing the things that they're doing, and life has no meaning to them. They're void of normal emotions or compassions for others. Their drive is greed and self-gratification, no matter what that gratification is. They have no conscience.
If the gay community thinks that the people driving this bus, which is the direction our country goes, is on their side, the people driving this bus probably despise the gay community more than anything. They probably despise the black community more than anything. They even despise Obama. People that are running this are I don't even think they're truly the Solinsky's. I think the Solinsky's are the step down from there. I think the people that are actually running this country are the people that are the Rockefellers, they have to put these Solinsky's in there to let their plans go into play because, like you said, they make money. They make money on war. They make money on discourse. When everybody is happy, like in the 80s after Reagan, even though Reagan has some bunch of downfalls in my book, bunch of them. Yeah. The United States came together and prospered like never before. I mean, it was so easy to get a job. It was so easy to buy a house. It was so easy to go on vacation. It was so easy to buy Christmas presents for your kids. It was so everything, everywhere. The poverty was going, just the percentage was dropping down. The actual dollar amount of people in poverty rose, because there was nobody in poverty. You're going to have a percentage of people that live in poverty just because they're lazy. Yeah. They don't want to do anything. But the world was in good, and guess what? When the world is in good, those people that are in control do not make money.
Right.
It'd be like General Motors or Chevrolet coming out one day and saying, listen, we made $15 billion last year. We're going to reduce that to $500 million, and we're going to split the rest of it with our employees, the other $14.5 billion.
Right.
That's ridiculous to think of. But it's when the economy is doing good, that $14.5 billion hits the American citizens' hands. It doesn't hit the actual business owner, the corporate dog. It hits the business owner, but not the guy that runs the corporate dragon.
Right.
So.
Right. You're so right. Well, we're as a society, and I say I certainly don't let the government use me if I can at all avoid that situation. But literally the black population is being used to death. the black lives that are lost, the mentality that has been created as a whole in the neighborhoods where the impoverished do thrive, and its generational welfare and entitlement has laid rest. These people are being used to death. They're the most violent. The crime rates are the highest. And you were talking about demonizing the police departments through all of this racial division. It has gotten to a point where many police officers will not even get involved if it's a black perp anymore. The media won't report on it. Police officers are being executed, and we know it's in those communities that evil has come out of. They won't prosecute them, so the lawless become more and more violent and more emboldened. They're completely running amok and daring police officers to stop them from being lawless. And we're seeing this in our youth. We saw it in McKinney. We see parents backing them up on that. The parents are not being held accountable. The youth are not being held accountable. The criminals are not being held accountable. And it's not because they've been profiled that they consume the court system and the prison system. The government has used them like that on purpose. It feeds the giant. It inflates the pocket of those people who have interest in that area.
Rule. It's a Solinsky rule. Never persecute anyone that has furthered your agenda. So if your agenda is to have, discourse in the nation, and you have a guy that is on drugs and drugged out, and he goes crazy and shoots up a crowd, or like we had that music festival a couple of years, and some guy was drunk and mad and drove through a bunch of people, well, you send your best lawyer to protect him, because what he did was cause this discourse. Actually, they left it alone. They didn't even touch that with a 10-foot pole. But you get my example. They want to find something, and if you further their agenda, they will protect you at all ends, no matter what the cause is.
Did you see where the protesters were raising hell in Baltimore because they were promised $5,000 to do the damage they did and to loot and destroy and attack citizens, innocent victims? They were paid to do it, and then they didn't get their paycheck. Did you see that?
My scoop on this is that they were paid to go out there and say that. Okay?
You think?
My scoop is that there was about 35 people that showed up there to get their money. Okay? Right. We have people that have videoed the same people at the same riots. These people were sent in. These aren't the people that were standing there wanting their money. You've got either there's two ideas behind this. Okay? And the two ideas are that the people that were actually paid the $5,000 told someone else, and to get someone else to go along with them, that hey, I'm getting $5,000. I'll put in a word for you. Well, those people that were told that went to go get their money, and they were like, no, we never signed a deal with you. Or the people were actually paid to go there and rise up, get the patriots all pissed off and go, see, I told you so. And, see, they love telling on themselves. They love telling on themselves when they know nobody will believe what they're telling. I mean, the whole cigar issue and Clinton was all released by the White House. Okay? Yeah. Every bit of that. Paula Jones, the whole thing was released by the White House as the lesser of two evils. Okay? If you will, from an old movie. But they had Clinton on whitewater indictments. They had Clinton on drug trafficking. They had Clinton on so many different things that what will grab the American people's attention to get it away from this so we can sweep it under the rug long enough that he's out of office. And so they said, hey, we got to throw you under the bus for getting a blowjob, or moistening your cigar. And so that's exactly what they did. They chose the lesser of two evils, and they threw him under the bus, knowing that it would not destroy him. Now, if you get him on the Whitewater deal where he's stealing people's property and converting it to rental property without notifying them, it's he would still be in prison. Not only would he be impeached, he would still be in prison. So you had to hide this and cover this up.
Did you see where he and Hillary and some other investors took $500 million of the funds away from Haiti when they had that tragic occurrence where the earthquake destroyed much of Haiti, and they went in and they built resorts instead of rebuilding the city? I mean, he's about as corrupt as they come. They're some of the most heartless, greedy, murderous. I paid for a couple of bricks in one of those resorts. Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw the disaster in Haiti, and I had been there before. I had walked the streets with the people and met them. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah.
And, it's just,
go ahead.
After I had gotten back from there, the disaster happened about 9 months later. And,
wow.
And I felt compelled. I'm a giving man if I'm anything. I'm not very smart, simple Texas boy, but old school plumber, United States Marine vet, jarhead, true definition. But, I felt compelled to give money, and I gave money, and then 5 years later I read how I can go stay at one of my hotels.
Wow.
That I helped build. So.
That's tragedy. You got sharks that come in. First of all, you have to question how they gain access to such funds, and then you go from there. That's where you build your case against the cabal and the corrupt.
You know that $200 million is missing from the State Department for the time period that Hillary Clinton was in there. $200 million.
That's just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, that's what they say. Nobody will notice that. We all remember the old story about U.S. military audit and shovels costing $800.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Well, that whole situation, a general got thrown under the bus and destroyed. Probably still sitting in prison to this day. And all he was doing was following orders. And it wasn't just the shovels. That was just the one that everybody stuck with. It was, they were paying $1.2 million for a Jeep. And, the money was ridiculous. And they were bringing it in. This is right after Reagan. They were bringing it in so fast that with baseline budgeting, and you know how that works, whatever was spent last year, whether there was the war and the war ended, it doesn't matter. If we spent it last year on baseline budgeting, then our new budget starts at that baseline, whatever we spent last year. It never drops below that. When they say that they cut the budget, they didn't cut the budget. They cut the increase to the new baseline budget.
Right.
If they say that Iraq cost $1 trillion, well, guess what, folks? They still got that $1 trillion, and they don't have the war going on.
Right.
And so where is the money going? It's lining pockets, folks. It's being spent by legislators in the Capitol. It's being spent by lobbyists, by committees. You can pick any committee. You can pick any situation that you want. You can pick speeding on highways, and I bet there's 15 separate departments that review and test and locate all of them in Washington. what the speeds on the highway should be. You can pick out a freaking chipmunk, and I bet there's 10 agencies that investigate that chipmunk. What you do, and you have same agencies doing the same research, coming up with the same theories.
Yeah.
And it's all it is so that they can spend the money.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
You are correct. You are correct. And we've allowed this to happen. Now, how do we stop it?
I think you drop to your knees and you talk to your maker, your savior. You tell him to guide you along the way, that you need direction in defense. You need direction in speaking. You need direction in protection. I think it's past the point of no return. I'll be honest. I've pulled back all of my battles, all of my groups. I've just about dropped out of all of my battles. I've just about dropped out of all of my protests, my going to the capitals, my going to here, going to there. I'm done. It's I'm here to warn you. I think it's all but over. The America we know is gone. I know you want to keep fighting. Fighting, I know. But I think there are lawsuits right now. There are people. If you were a gay couple, why, and you were financially strapped, why wouldn't you go to the First Baptist Church of Dallas and ask to be married?
Right.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, with a lawyer's phone number in your back pocket, go to the first, and you know that he's already said he will not perform these ceremonies.
Right.
Okay? Against his religious belief. Why wouldn't you do it as a lesbian couple? Because you you will be filthy rich. That church brings in millions of dollars a month.
Yeah.
And that is a very, very wealthy church. And I'm just
you're
saying
going to see that across the board, and that's just legal extortion, in my opinion. And it shouldn't be something that they can do.
It's exactly what it is. And it's going to be an attack on Christianity. If you see what happened, they've already stopped the ruling on the abortion clinics closing down in the state of Texas, and they put it off, and they said they won't even look at it until after fall.
All right, let's just go here, because really we can't fix this country. I'll be honest with you. There is no way in hell. Patriots have proven time and time again they refuse to fall under a direction. They refuse to unite and organize. They refuse to meet at round tables instead of on a social network. They refuse to give up their vacation time to use it on a day that they can show up in numbers, to be heard, to shake the tree, if you will, of government. Corrupt oligarchy that's in place. They just won't do it. They won't do it. You've seen it. I've seen it. We've tried to organize it. We've been a part of it, and it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So let's just focus on Texas, because you're from Texas and I'm from Texas. So let's just say this. Where the hell are we on secession? And why did the Freedom Texas groups out there insist on continuing to be in the motion of asking rather than demanding that we be delivered and become our own nation?
I joined that group, and what they want and what they believe is that they believe that there is a political fix that will create secession, and there is not. You will not have it in the state of Texas. And listen, folks, and then I'm not saying America is gone unless God has really gotten pissed off and his wrath is near to come. But that on the side, the way to fix this and fix America is going to require one thing, and lots of it. That is blood.
Yeah.
This country was created with the blood of patriots. And we say that there's not patriots because they have been so conditioned that the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, and the sky never falls. Well, folks, that is by design. By design, that you are being taught not to believe, not to believe, not to believe. When I run up to you one day and I say, listen, there are UN troops pulling down the road, you're going to go, he's on drugs, and shut the door. You're going to shut the door in my face and go, he's on drugs.
Right.
And it's just what's going to happen. People are going to already, and by design, the old Alex Jones that has been paid many a times to predict that something horrible is going to happen, and then he just continues to survive out there, that the day that he says, hey, folks, I know I've done this before, but this is it for real, not a soul is going to believe him.
Yeah.
And he may be right. That's why I'm saying all information has to be taken in. All information. Don't take everything Becky tells you. Don't take everything Bobby or I tell you. Go get involved. Go get you some emergency money. Put it up. Buy you 2 months worth of food. What is it going to cost you? $400 worth of survival food. Last you a couple months.
Right.
Get you a simple hand pump water purifier. You can fill up a barrel. Do something.
Better do something.
But to sit there and tell yourself that they won't let it happen. They won't let it happen. They are doing it. So.
Well, like I said,
I think my nephew's listening to me on the radio, and maybe he's not. I don't know.
Fantastic. When I say Texas Freedom, brother, I don't really mean specifically that group. There are many groups out there pushing for secession in Texas. Many. So I wanted to clarify that. I wasn't picking on Texas Freedom, and I don't want them to think I do because I support. Most certainly I can say this when I make the statement that we can't collectively as a country form a united front to scare the shit, for lack of better terminology, out of these corrupt, mafiotic, narcissistic, sociopathic, greedy bastards, this oligarchy that has got us by chokehold. In my opinion, I'll be honest with you, and I'm not ex-military, but I am one of the owners of the largest private and civilian-operated military training facilities in the country, 28 miles from Matagorda Island, Boss, where we train people for preparedness. But I will tell you this, logistically speaking, the best way that we could have taken care of the issue that needed to be taken care of is if our trained individuals that are ex-military and active duty military that know we're under tyranny at this point, that we know espionage has been exercised, that people are dying every day by foreign invasion in this country, invaders that have come across Mexico firing and shooting down one of our choppers. Texas government didn't answer that war call. The federal government didn't answer that war call. The Pentagon, the DOD, nobody answered that call, and that was one of over 300 incidents where we have been fired upon by foreign nationals from that border, a foreign country, and the gates of hell are still open and people are dying every day. That is an act of war. Anytime a foreign invader kills an American citizen on American soil, it's an act of war. It's a declaration of war. So we're in a lot of trouble here. There's a lot of things going on. People are being distracted by a lot of different things with that Alinsky program. The government is involved deeply in this, and we're in serious trouble. So we need to break away. Texas needs to break away. But the best thing that could have happened for us is those people who were trained, who know what's going on, to have formed guerrilla teams, and when they were not in session in Washington, go into their homes and arrest them like a thief in the night with precision, hit 200-300 of those bastards, and you take them into custody and you put them on trial for treason. You would have absolutely.
I want to bring. I don't want to secede. I want to bring Mississippi. I want to bring Louisiana. I want to bring Oklahoma for damn sure. I want to bring these other real southern states that have pure good. Tennessee. I want to be, these southern states. I want to bring in. I know I love my country. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I love America, but as long as we allow it to be devoured by the dragon Lucifer that's in the White House right now, following orders of whoever, let's just say the Rockefellers, then then we have to do something. I sit and wait just like everyone else does ready to defend. And, I've caught myself praying to my Savior to spare my soul that I'm here for. I read a quote from the highest Catholic, and I'm not Catholic, I'm Baptist, but I read a quote from a Catholic priest in New York, was considered one of the highest in the Catholic diocese in the United States, and he was, had lost his position and had reached a ripe age of 88 or 89, and he made this. His last statement was, "I will die in my bed."
Yeah.
And my successor will die in prison, and his successor will die as a martyr on the streets. And how smart was this man to know this? And this was back 10 years ago that he said this, maybe 15, before Obama. And he said, "I will die in my bed. My successor will die in prison, and his successor will die a martyr in the streets." So that's the description of how quick things are going to go bad.
Well, I pray that I have my heart in the right place, and I pray that I've done my due diligence, my very best to inform the people, to be the watchman. My delivery is not with eloquence. Many times it's downright offensive, but I've done it as to the best of my ability to try to awaken the courage in others, and inform them that they should indeed be outraged by the injustice that we suffer day in and day out in this country. But my soul is wretched for those souls that will be lost in this battle, and the ones that we have already lost to the battle. I don't deny my God, nor will I, but I'm not the judge of any individual, and I choose not to be. That's not a badge I want to try to wear and then face my God when I stand before him for that. So with that said, I definitely believe that we're in a whole lot of trouble. I definitely believe that the war will be here. I know that for a fact. We're already in the throes of it. And I believe that the civil violence that is about to occur is coming at us on so many levels. And even the Christians are falling into it. Listen, the Christians are being persecuted. The government has denied visas to any whites coming out of South Africa into America. They're under a genocide over there right now. Politicians are putting on billboards, if I'm elected, you kill white people, and I've seen the billboards. I'm getting all information out of South Africa about what's going on. You kill a white person, you take their property, you will not be prosecuted if I'm in office, period. I mean, that's just horrific. And then I'm watching the parallels that are going on with the racial divide here in America, the government not only funding the program for the blacks to come against white America and law, but they are instigating and setting up this program, and they're giving a green light to the foot soldiers of Satan to do what they're doing, and they have formed a coalition with the very devil's minion, the Nation of Islam. So I see what is coming, and I realize we're in the end times, and I will fight to my death, and I will do it fearlessly as I have battled on the radio, stepped up to do something that I knew would be impossible, and even got mocked for. But God gave me a platform because I had the courage to be obedient enough to say, okay, God, I'll do it. I know I'm going to look stupid, but I'm going to go ahead and do it because it has to be done. And the platform that has been given to me has led to this. And I'm listened to in 30 countries, more than 30 countries now, over 1 million listeners. And not everybody agrees with my delivery, but, brother, I'm doing the best that I can to awaken inside of the spirit of man that we're in trouble, to make them aware and to get them motivated to stand up. Souls are going to be lost, and that's our first job, pardon me, is to secure the souls for Christ, period. That's your first job, to be a fisher of men, and we're not doing a very good job of it, and I know I fail miserably because I get so angry and carnally I come out and I'm abrasive. So for my listening audience, I apologize for that only.
You're doing a good job.
I appreciate it, brother. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna wrap this show up. I've got family time, and I'm about to eat some dinner, brother. You know you are one of my heroes, and if there ever was one for me in my local area, you're definitely him, and I'm honored to serve with you in this battle. I want to thank you for coming on, and you're always welcome back on Rage Against the Regime. You bring so much to the table.
Thank you, Becky.
God bless you. You enjoy your children, enjoy your evening. And, folks, if you could, get on your bended knees, mention us that are out here on the front of this battle, if you wouldn't mind, and pray for a hedge of protection around each and every one of us and around this country. Until tomorrow night at 7 p.m., we have James coming on to fill in for Casey Massey, who is still incarcerated. This has been Rage Against the Regime. Please join James tomorrow evening. This is Becky Williams, and I'm signing off. God bless America.